everyone, this is Sandra at the Whispering Well. So today I'm going to do a VR to Simon at the Hermit's Cave for his hashtag AllAboutTarot 2022. So there are 13 prompts in this tag, so we'll get straight into it. So the first one, number one, is your first deck and how you encountered it. So my first deck is in this bag, and this is my original deck from when I was about, I don't know, 14, 15 or something. And it is the Arthurian Tarot. Now, there used to be, and it wasn't there for very long, in the local town there used to be like a metaphysical shop that sold crystals and things, and they sold tarot decks, and this is the original Arthurian with these backs, because it has been republished since, but I think now it is actually out of print, unfortunately. So I saw this and I've always loved like King Arthur, Merlin and all of that type of thing, so I saw it and thought, oh wow, the Arthurian Tarot, I've got to get that. Of course I had no idea how to read tarot, but I wanted to have it anyway. I bought it with, I think I'd saved up pocket money or something like that, and I bought it, and it was in one of those old style video cassette cases. I've still got the book actually, but it's quite tatty now, the guidebook. And what I used to do, because I didn't know how to read them, I just used to make up stories with the cards. I used to just, you know, put them together and make up a story with them. And I loved just sitting and looking at the pictures in the cards, and trying to work out what they might mean and stuff, you know. And you know, this didn't get like a whole lot of use. You can see it's still fairly okay on the sides. It is a bit discoloured, but because I've always, even from a child, been really careful with my things, so I didn't want it to get messed up, so I always put it back in its plastic case and everything. I don't have that now, but it's always kept in this bag. But yeah, I love this, and like I said, I found it in a local metaphysical shop which was called Green something, but I can't remember now, but it's been gone a long time. But that's where I found it. And what's strange is how I've always kind of loved King Arthur, Merlin, the whole thing like that, and how now at this time of my life I've discovered Glastonbury. Well, I've discovered it for a few years now. My brother took me there the first time, the elder of my two brothers that lives in Devon, and he first took me there, and I loved it from the get-go. I just loved it, the whole place, the atmosphere, how I feel when I'm there, everything. And just funny that I was attracted even at age 14, 15 to this deck. So yeah, so that's my original Arthurian, and you know how I came across it. So that is that. Second one is your last deck and how your tastes have changed since your first. Now, I was trying to think, what was the last tarot deck I bought, because I've not been buying any really recently, because saving up to go to Glastonbury. And the last deck is actually two, because I ordered them at the same time. So these were the last two decks that I ordered. And it is the Forhaxa Tarot and the Grimalkin's Curious Cats Tarot, both from the same creator, MJ Cullinane. I really love her decks. I've got the Crow Tarot, and I've got the Urban Crow Tarot on pre-order, and I want to get the Guardians of the Night. If it's there in Glastonbury, I'm going to probably get it, but but I haven't actually done walkthroughs of these, so I'm not going to get like all the cards out and stuff. But this is kind of a magical fairy type of deck, this one. Let's just flip over one card, because it, you know, it's one of the decks that I've kind of been saving. I know it sounds silly, but if you see my other video about unopened decks, you'll know why. So that's one of the cards from there. So, and I don't think my tastes have changed that much, really, in the sense that I still love what feel to me as magical decks, Celtic type decks. You know, I love things like the Druid Craft. I've loved that for a long time, had it for years. Even the Wildwood Tarot, any kind of Celtic type, very pagan, green man, those types of decks I love. Also love cat decks, but I don't love every type of cat deck. It has to sort of really speak to me, and this one did. And with it being a favourite creator of mine, that's why I got it. So obviously this is Grimalkin's Cure. I'm not sure if you can still get this. This might be out of print, guys. I'm not sure, but that's the backs of the cards, and that's our King of... I mean, look how bright that is, seriously. Look at those sunflowers. This is what I love. I also love like flowery decks, herby type decks. I've been kind of getting into those more recently. Like I've got the herb crafters, and I've got some oracle decks that are flowers and herbs and that type of thing. But I love anything fairy. I even love some fairy decks, again depending, and this one's a bit kind of like that, the Four Haxa. And I suppose one way that my tastes have changed would be that I never liked the original RWS. I had the one that you can just buy in any shop in the blue box, hated it, got rid of it, didn't want to know anything about the RWS. But now I've come to appreciate it, and now that I've found out more about Pamela Coleman Smith and her life, her story and everything, it's so interesting. It's kind of, it made me more interested in her art and how she created the tarot deck, and you know how old those original drawings are, and that we still have them in some form, and we have like her original calligraphy. So going from hating the RWS and not getting on with it, I've now got several sort of original style RWS decks, and even I managed to get a blushing full. And I mean, this is from somebody that said, oh no, I don't like RWS, but I suppose that's one way in that my tastes have changed. If you can hear that buzzing noise, guys, just ignore it. It's my phone, as usual, as soon as I start filming, but just ignore that. I might leave just these in view for you, because it's not going to be an awful lot for you to look at, but I didn't want to do a face-on video because it's so hot and I look a mess, and I thought, oh no, seriously, I can't put people through that, and if I put makeup on, it's just going to come off. So anyway, so that's that. 3. Why tarot? So why tarot? Well, I've always, from as long as I can remember, from quite young, I've always been fascinated by the idea of tarot, of people maybe being able to, even though we don't always use it for that now, but to divine the future. But I'm not saying that that is the only way you can use a tarot deck, and I'm not saying that that is how it definitely works, but I think sometimes you can get an inkling of things to come, or the direction from tarot. But I just loved the whole, I don't know if it was like the mystery or something surrounding it, and I was determined to learn to read it properly. And that was when, you know, I bought the Arthurian Tarot. And it was kind of like, I don't know, like it was meant or something. But yeah, so tarot's always fascinated me from a young age, so it was always going to happen, even though I had a big gap in between when I bought the Arthurian to when I got kind of interested in tarot again. But it never kind of left, and I always held on to that Arthurian deck that I still have. Okay, so number 4, now this could be a bit controversial, and I know people might not like this, but this is the tarot pet peeves section. Now, I don't have many pet peeves really with tarot. With the actual decks themselves, I mean, the only thing I'm not over keen on, I guess, is very thin cardstock. But other than that, I'm not bothered in that way. But one thing that has come up recently that I've noticed a few people doing, and I just find it irritating, just personally I find it irritating, and that is some people seem to be assigning genders to their decks. Like, I've heard people, and in fact I say assigning genders, all I've heard actually is people saying she or her about their decks. So, and I just for some reason it just kind of grates on me. I just don't like that. And like I say, this is only my personal opinion, and if that's something you do like, that's totally fine for you to do that, but I just don't like it, and I don't really like hearing it. For some reason I just don't like, sort of, you know, like me picking up this deck and going, so I've worked with her this month. I couldn't. I just can't. I don't know, for some reason I just don't like it. I just don't like this assigning genders to decks. Even if there were some people saying he or whatever, I don't like it. I don't know why that's suddenly a thing. I don't know why, but whatever the reason, I don't like it. So that would be a pet peeve for me, which is a very recent one, because I've noticed a few people doing that with their decks. So yeah. Number 5, favourite tarot spread. I don't really use specific spreads. I haven't even really got, you know, like you can buy the books with like lots of different spreads in. I keep meaning to kind of get one and try out some different spreads, but all I tend to do really is do 3, 6 or 9 card spreads, and just however. But other than that, I like interview spreads, you know, like when you first get a new deck, and I have got one of those written down for the different places for the cards. So I quite like an interview spread for a new deck. And the only other spread that I like is the year ahead spread, you know, that you would do, say, in December or something, and have 12 cards and you know, one in the middle as a sort of, I can't think of the word, but you'd have it as like an extra card, the one in the middle. That's how I do it anyway, as like an overall card. So I do like that as a spread. So I've got everything written down here, guys, that's why you can hear paper turning. Okay, so number 6 is your preferred tarot system. Now that would definitely be RWS. I don't like Marseille. I did try it. I don't like it. I'm not keen on the Marseille decks. not keen on pip decks, although I'm trying to get better with that. And a friend did send me a kind of cheat sheet to try and help with using pip decks, and you know, I have been trying that, so I'm trying to get better. But Marseille as a system and everything I don't get on with. Thoth I haven't tried, but looking at like an original Thoth deck, it doesn't really appeal to me. So but I haven't tried to work with it, but the images don't really appeal to me. So I would say definitely my preferred system is RWS. Tarot rituals. Okay, and I know some people, when they would look at this question, tarot rituals, like, you know, pulling a card first thing in the morning and then maybe pulling another at night to see how your day has gone, or looking at the card you pulled in the morning and seeing how that reflects, how your day reflects that card. But I don't always do that. Sometimes I do, but it's not definitely not a ritual. What is more of a ritual is when I get a new deck, not actually brand new like these from the publishers or whatever, but if I get a second hand or used deck, I always like to sage it. It's just me. I have to do it. And not only do I sage the deck, and when I say sage the deck, I literally sage every single card, like one card sage down, another card sage. I have to go through every single one, and I have to sage the box and the guidebook or little white book or whatever is with it. And then when I've done that, I get the whole deck all together and just go over with the sage as well. I know it probably sounds mad, but it's just a thing I like to do, because I just think, you know, if you get a used deck, especially if you don't know who's had it prior to you, you never know how they've used that deck. And for me, I just feel that cleanses the deck for me. Might not be the same for everyone, but that's something that I do like to do. 8. How do you use tarot? Okay, so I do use it for divination. Kind of, not to kind of predict the future really, but to try and see ahead a little bit. I also use it, I do use it for self-help, to if I'm having a problem or something, I will turn to the tarot to see whether that can help me, if that can shed any light on anything. And I have started doing readings for my brother, and he's been really pleased with what I've done for him so far and said they've been spot on. But I'm not confident enough to do it with other people, but he says they've been spot on, and that's without even telling me what he's got in mind. He's just wanted me to do it without him telling me a question, although he has given me a question as well, and we've done it both ways, and it's worked pretty well. So I would say it as a self-help tool, but also for a little bit of divination, because I know that I do have psychic ability, and I know I have because of the different experiences I've had, and also I've been told by a few mediums exactly the same thing as soon as I sit down in front of them. So I do sometimes just get my decks out, and I don't think about what the, say, RWS meanings are that are applied to those different cards. I will just use my intuition, and I can sometimes, that works really well for me, because sometimes, like one time I laid out 3 cards for my brother and I just read them bang like that. It just came to me, or each card, without thinking about what the meanings should be for those cards. I just read it as I saw it, so that often works quite well for me. Your significator card and why you feel it represents you. Okay, so my significator would be the Queen of Cups, because there's that emotional aspect to her, which I feel that I am. There's the I feel like she's got a more caring, gentle way about her as a queen, and that's how I feel that I am, and that people have said to me that, but it's also how I feel myself. And I always seem to be pulled towards the Queen of Cups in any deck, and I always like to see what the Queen of Cups is in a deck, but she just feels more gentle and caring and more kind of on the emotional side, which I know that I am. I'm terrible sometimes with that. So yeah, but there's also another card though that I know is one of my birth cards, because my birth cards are the Empress and the Hanged Man. So the Empress is 3, and if you break 3 down it's 2 and 1, which is 12, a Hanged Man. But I've always kind of been drawn to the Hanged Man. It's almost like I could say the Hanged Man is my significator card, but that probably sounds really weird because it's not a court card, it's a major card. And I always like to see the Hanged Man in a deck, and I feel more drawn to the Hanged Man as my birth card. I don't feel drawn to the Empress at all, really. Definitely more to the Hanged Man, and I love it when the Hanged Man has his legs in that kind of number 4 shape, so crossed over, you know. So yeah, there's that. Okay, now for this one, I'm hoping you're not going to see my horrible legs for this, because I'm going to have to go and get the deck because I forgot to bring it with me, and you know me, I don't edit. So sorry guys if you see anything you don't want to see. 1 second and I'll be back. So unprofessional. So the next one is number 10, and it's your most expensive deck. My most expensive deck is this one, the Journey into Egypt Tarot, which was limited. This is number 590 of 1,000 and has been signed by the creator Julie Couture-Watts. And this was my most expensive deck. I think this cost me about £150, which is the most I've ever spent on a deck. But, and I do have the separate book for this as well, but it was the only Egyptian deck that I felt a real pull towards. I absolutely love the artwork in these. Yes, the cards are glossy. I was a bit disappointed when I first got it because the cardstock is quite thin, but then, you know, the cards are large. So this one is my most expensive deck. Oh, sorry, bit of nudity there. Quickly cover that up. So yeah, it's just, this one just spoke to me. I love watching like programs about Egypt and stuff as well, and this just, I don't know, it's almost like I could feel the heat of the sun, and you know, the way that people have been depicted and stuff on this. I just loved it. I still love it. It's the only, apart from the Nefertari deck that I've got, the gold one, it's the only Egyptian deck that I've got, and it's the one that I love the most. So yeah, that is my most expensive deck purchase, was the Journey into Egypt tarot. Okay, unicorn deck. See, this is a hard one because I don't know that I've really got a unicorn deck. Probably if I really thought about it enough, there would be, or probably there'd be more than one. I mean, ones that are really difficult to get hold of or that are out of print. It would have been the Tildwick Tarot at one point, but I did manage to actually get that. But other than that, I would have loved to have probably got Brian Froud's The Heart of Fairy. That is not a tarot deck, it's a oracle deck. That's out of print, has been out of print for some little bit of time, I think a few years. I would have probably liked to have got The Heart of Fairy. And I would have liked, and I know this is going to sound bad as well, but I've already got the Titanic Tarot, but I would have loved to have got the second edition, the Risen Spirits one. I had to cancel the Kickstarter for that because I didn't have the money at the time to back it, so probably that. But there's others. I mean, Tarot Avatara is another one, the deck that is based on Frida Kahlo. I thought that was a really cool deck too. So yes, it's not really proper answer for this, sorry guys, but there's a couple of unicorn decks there, and there's probably more which I'll probably think of the minute I turn this camera off. What's the most number 12, what's the most important lesson tarot has taught you? I think to be more confident. It's definitely helped me with that. I wouldn't say I'm overly confident now, but more so than I used to be. And also, through tarot, I've made some lovely friends here on Tarot Tube. And if it wasn't for tarot, I wouldn't have discovered these people that I now call friends. I wouldn't have discovered the tarot community on YouTube. So things would have been very different. So, and I'm so grateful for tarot and for the tarot community here on YouTube. So yeah, that's been important to me, as well as gaining a bit more confidence. Okay, and number 13 is tarot dinner guests. One guest of honour and 2 other guests, dead or alive. So, guest of honour I think would have to be Pamela Coleman Smith, because I'd love to be able to sit and talk to her and listen to how she came to portray the tarot as we see it now in the RWS, what her thoughts were and things behind it. The other person, and this is going to sound really weird, but I've loved this person ever since I was about 12 or 13, his music. So that would have to be Ozzy Osbourne. I know. So can you imagine this? Pamela Coleman Smith, Ozzy Osbourne, and the third one would have to be Doreen Valiente, who was Gerald Gardner's High Priestess, because for some reason I feel really connected to her. It's really strange. When I got her autobiography or her biography, and saw her picture on the front, it was like I knew her, really strongly, like I knew her. It's like, I know you. And it's really weird. So I would love to be able to sit and have a conversation with Doreen Valiente. And if, I know this is kind of cheating, but if it wasn't Ozzy, then the other person would have to be my dad, just so that I could talk to him one more time. And we could all listen to his stories. And I think he'd be interested, actually, to listen to Pamela Coleman Smith and Doreen Valiente. So actually, that might be a better mix than having Ozzy in there. But, yeah. So anyway, this has been like a fun tag to do. I hope you've enjoyed listening to my answers. I'm sorry the unicorn deck one wasn't like a proper answer. but yeah, it's been fun to do. I really enjoyed it, so thank you, Simon, for starting this tag. Like I say, I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'm sure I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.